Welcome, everybody, to the Intro to Digital Experience in 30 minutes. My name is Greg Shoup. I'm a digital experience thought leader here at Progress. It's great to be with you today, and this is one of my favorite topics to talk about, is how to help you drive your digital experience through your company and to achieve the results that you're looking for. But before we begin, let's go through a couple of housekeeping tips. If you can't hear us, try connecting to your computer audio instead of your phone audio. If you have any questions, we want to hear from you. So please type in your questions into the question pane and submit them so that they'll be registered within our queue, and we'll be able to get to them toward the end of the webinar and answer them. And if we run out of time, or if we don't answer your question, we will definitely follow up with you individually. So please ask your questions next. You know, as we talk about the engaging with customers new in different ways, I was reading a report from Salesforce.com, and this really struck me very interesting. That the modern customers, you know, they have so much expectation, and they force us as businesses to really to take those expectations and deliver on them. And what they're really looking for is proactive services, so a self-service model. They're looking for personalization services and interactions. But most of all, they want this across all of our channels. All the channels that they come across and experience our brand, they want to have personalized interactions and proactive services. And so they want this seamless digital experience. And so that means that we need to engage with our customers where they are, not try and draw them back to us, but we need to engage with them where they are. So we need to start building these digital experiences out away from the domain that we own. And this means that we need to really unify this customer journey for both the pre and post conversion. Now, what I mean by that is that we often spend so much time getting customers, and the pre-conversion part, the prospect. We spend a lot of time and money trying to get customers over to us, and then we forget about them once they've signed that contract or once they've made that transaction with us. And that's probably one of the most important parts. In order to keep customers coming back to our brand, we must pay attention to them. We must create this journey for them and a post-conversion or on a customer set, and as well as the prospect part of it. Next, we need to invest in scalable, extensible architecture. What I mean by this is scalability allows us to have elasticity. It allows us to expand and contract our services, our digital experience, our implementation based on the demands that are being set. So if we have a seasonal business, we're able to respond in sort that we have our spikes and we have our valleys. And we're able to scale that infrastructure and that implementation. Now, with extensibility, what we mean by this is we're able to connect to different third parties and grow our feature set on how we engage and use digital experience. So both of those are very, very critical when looking at your digital experience and creating the seamless experience. So how are you able to have the elasticity or scalability, and then how are we able to bring in third parties seamlessly to integrate with our digital experience that we've created. One of the last ones here is agility. We often find ourselves being in a corporate environment where there's a lot of bureaucracy trying to go through and challenging different ideas or different minimal viable products, different learnings that we want to go take. And so we need to change that corporate image or that corporate status to be much more agile. We need to be able to go out and pivot where needed, take advantage of opportunities when they arise, or even get ahead of opportunities by pushing out different experiences. So here's an example. I was at a conference not too long ago, and Facebook, one of the vice presidents from Facebook was there. And this vice president said, the question was to the vice president, how are you able to constantly innovate? How are you able to constantly be ahead of customer expectations and customer experiences? And the vice president said, it's interesting because we subscribe to the agile methodology. We are constantly pushing out minimal viable products. We are constantly pushing out new experiences and measuring the effect that that has, and then bring that back, identify the opportunity. We code some things and then push it out again and see if that works. So it's not that they are constantly being in front of the customer, it's just that they're constantly innovating. They're constantly pushing things out live. And that's where we need to be from an agile perspective. We need to constantly get in front and see what works and bring it back into our companies and understand what did work and apply that to something else and push that out into the customer experience. That way, you're able to help innovate. You might disrupt, you might delight, you might get things out there quicker ahead of your competition. Now, that all seems extremely challenging. I totally understand. But I'm going to add one more thing to make it extremely challenging. Is that we need to do this across all channels and all the destinations. That means that we need to be able to provide these experiences across all the devices and channels that your customers engage with. It may be web applications and websites, and if that's the case, that's fine. That's fairly easy to do. But when we start getting into immersive technologies like AR and VR, augmented reality and virtual reality, those become much more problematic. Or in-car experience to your wearable experience. Here's things that we need to start thinking about on how does our customer journey and the digital experience play with all of these different devices that we come in contact with. How are we engaging with customers at the right level with the right message in this environment? Because at the end of the day, experience will impact your bottom line. Gone are the days where we could stick our head in the sand and hope things would get better or hope things would pass. It is not the case anymore. Digital experience will impact your bottom line for better or for worse. And we're seeing customers and marketers really invest in these experience priorities. We're seeing a lot of things happen. And I took this data clip from eMarketer showing the trends from Australia, the UK, and North America, really investing in the need to improve their web experience. By far, the web experience. And I personally think that this is probably the first place you start. And we're going to get into this in a little bit. But this is the first place you start when you're creating these customer experiences is how is the experience on the web? Because that's the easiest one for us to manage. It's the easiest one for us to change. But with all change and with all adaptations, we need to be able to measure that customer experience. And so we need to ensure that we have the correct tools in front of us to measure that experience. And as we're measuring and we're finding insights out, we need to start upgrading different technologies, engagement points. And today I'm going to go through a demo that will show how a chatbot is interfacing with a website that's interfacing with an ERP system that goes on and on and on for a seamless experience. And that's really what we're here to see is that demo, and we'll get to it in just a second. The last part is the mobile experience. We cannot leave out mobile. Mobile is a part of our life. We must figure out a way that our experience gets into mobile and we're able to provide that information. And it goes beyond mobile, to be honest. It goes into a seamless omnichannel experience, no matter where the customer is that they need to, that they engage with your company. It must be on purpose. It must have a developed experience. Because if it doesn't, we start getting into some negative traits. In fact, I took this from that Salesforce study. That 72% of customers will share their bad experience on social media, and we all understand the impact that has. But that's almost 3/4 of your customers will share their bad experience with other people, and that will grow. Now, on the flip side, on the other side, 2/3 of them will actually spend more on a good experience. So if you develop this good experience, you're rewarded with the customer spending more. And in fact, not only that, but almost 3/4 of them will move to a competitor if their experience is bad. So if you want to keep your customers, if you want to keep them spending more money with you, then you need to develop this experience that is positive. because your digital engagement will drive results and it will deliver results. And the impact that digital experience and digital experience platforms have on business is remarkable. And we had this study done with IDC. It's an analyst house that we use predominantly in the US, that we saw that this is the impact that investing in a mature digital experience has. We start seeing that we have an increase in revenue, which is our top line. That's incredibly great. I mean, any other investment that you've seen a 24% increase in rev, you certainly should take advantage of that. But there's more than just a revenue increase. There's a reduction in operational costs that go along with it. And so this I equate with profitability, because this is your bottom line. If you are able to spend less from an operational standpoint, you have more money in your profitability. So we make things more profitable, we increase revenue, we reduce the risk associated with disparate systems. So other people inputting into systems, your messaging, your experience. You know, if you don't centralize this, you're at risk for diluting your brand, for having broken links or broken imagery, things like that. And so you actually reduce your risk when you invest in digital experience and the technology that builds that. Another benefit is that you're able to get faster time to market. You're able to accelerate the way that you get to market so that you're now in front of your competition instead of being behind your competition. And at the end of the day, better brand consistency prevails. Our modern customers want to have a consistent brand experience, because when they don't, they consider that a bad experience, and we saw what happens with that. So these are the KPIs or the key performance indicators that I think we need to put onto digital experience initiatives, because this is what will help unify this initiative throughout your company. And there are several ways that you can go about doing it. In fact, here's the recent the number of MarTech vendors and what the MarTech landscape looks like. And since almost last year, almost a year ago, it was about 7,050. So we're going to go through each one of them and identify the pros. I'm joking. We are not. Well, the reason that we wanted to bring this up here is that there are so many companies and vendors out there that you can look to that will solve problems. But it really gets into how they work for you, and how do you go through this list so that you have what you need as they come out. And so this is something that we can take offline. We definitely can have the experience to walk you through this and how to build that digital experience framework so that you know what vendors that you can go trust and go take advantage of, that will bring you the results that you're looking for. And I think the first step to take is really transforming your content management system or your CMS into a DXP or a digital experience platform. And so we have our content management system, and it needs to be modernized, because here are the things that we need to be able to connect to. And if you have an antiquated content management system, an older one, or one that does not have the extensibility that you need, then you're going to find a lot of challenges here. And the digital experience platform really provides us with all of this holistic view of our customer and engagement points. We're able to get those deep analytics, and we have our commerce being transactional for B2B and B2C. We're able to govern and have security of that data, which is so important with GDPR standards and new regulations coming all the time. And we're able to really provide that central hub of content and experiences that we can distribute out into an omni-channel manner. And so let's talk real quick about digital experience platforms. And what they are is basically the technology that builds digital experiences. And so here's a framework that I think works really, really well, and especially you can apply it to that 7,050 different software vendors. But let's take a look at it first from your perspective. As we look at, you need the first foundational element of data. You need to have data. Now, you have your systems of records and your big data, your data lakes, your data warehouses, all these things that are collecting data you need to have, but you need to be able to connect those. And so there are connectors that allow you to integrate this data into applications, or bring this data and connect them to different applications. And I recommend going into a cloud layer, a services cloud or a cognitive cloud layer. And this allows us to take that data and make it usable. We can apply business rules to it. We can apply AI to it or machine learning to it. We can apply content to it. This is where that transformational space happens, is in the cloud. And I like the cloud because it provides us with an agile infrastructure. And it provides us with very specific, succinct goals and vendors that allow us to do the things that we're looking for. Because we need to create adaptive experiences with that content, with the result of that transformation cloud layer. We can now create these adaptive experiences and send them to multiple devices. And so here is the digital experience framework that allows us really to impact how we create the digital experience and what needs to happen as we go forward. And as a quick plug for Progress, our portfolio is very well aligned with that digital experience platform. We have a digital experience portfolio that provides software for all those different applications that you saw. Okay, so let's go ahead and transition into the demo. We want to use as much of that technology as we can to create these digital experiences, and we're going to cover personalized experiences. We're going to cover how we adapt this to omnichannel adaptability. We're going to experience how do we do this on multiple sites with a self-service experience, and then apply automation and integration into it. And one of the first things we want to do again is take a look at our portfolio. And here are the things that I'm going to cover today. So I'm not using all of them, but I'm going to use a majority of them as we cover through this demo. So here's the scenario. We have a customer that had purchased a tablet and inadvertently had broken the tablet screen. I'm sure this is a surprise to everybody. And so we need to get the screen fixed because it's shattered. And so we're going to go and talk to a chatbot on the corporate website. And that chatbot's going to kick off a huge string of workflows, including communication with our technician. So we're going to connect all of those things together so that we have a seamless experience. Now, above and beyond that, we want to be able to personalize that experience. We're going to see if there's some opportunity here to upsell and to close more business in this transaction. So we're going to try to accomplish all of these things in one experience. Let's see how we do here. So we're going to do this on Slideware, but this is our screenshots of the live environment. And so if we take a look at our customer experience on our website, we have our customer who goes to the site and they log in, they authenticate, so we know who they are. You know, if they've done it before, we can remember that within the cookie. But let's say they opted out of the cookie. Now we're able to identify who they are because they've logged into the site. And so they search around and find out, okay, well, I need to repair I need to service and repairs. So they click on that. And then, you know, they say, well, we want to either request for repair, but it's kind of late at night. So they really want to focus on getting things done now, as most millennials would. They can't wait for anything. We want to get that done right away, right now. So they see the chatbot and they're going to initiate that session. And that session is going to come up and basically identify who you are, right? So we already know, we've already made the connection of who you are based on the website and the chatbot. And remember, the chatbot is a separate application. And so we've connected that experience to say, hi, David, I know who you are. You know, what can I help you with? And so David says, I need to schedule a service appointment. All right, well, we already have a workflow kicked off with that. And so the chatbot goes and says, well, what can we help you with? And said, hey, I have a tablet problem. And we can identify what tablets David has based on his purchasing history with our website, right? So now it's another application that we're going and connecting and bringing information into. And so we present David with two alternatives. He has two tablets. So we ask him, what's one of these two tablets are you having a problem with? And so he said, okay, it's the Tab 11, and it's a touch screen. And then, you know, when would you like to have the appointment? Well, of course, like I said, any millennial wants to have it done right away. And so we log that in there. Now, here's the interesting part. We are going to ask a question here and said, while we are out on location fixing your tablet, would you like the technician to certify your tablet for an extended warranty? It seems fairly easy and fairly interesting, because what will happen here is that we're going to save this information and we're going to prepare it for later. But we're just seeing the interest that David has on extended his warranty and having it certified through this technician, because the technician's already going to be there. So he says, yeah, that sounds really good. And then we present him with all the details we found out, and he confirms that, says, yep, that's what I want. Okay, so let's transition now to the employees or the technicians' experience. They receive a text message that says, hey, log into your application. We've got a new service opportunity that we need you to service. So he logs in. He sees that there's something there tomorrow that we need to pay attention to. He identifies that in his diary, and he goes and opens it up and says, "Wow, David really wants to get on this. He needs a service repair at midnight, and so we need to be prepared for that as we come into the day." So we take a look at that, and we can click on that even farther, and here are all the details that we have from David. And we have his cell, his email, his physical address, what the issue is. And so we say, okay, well, we need to confirm, acknowledge that we've received it, and that will kick off another workflows for David to experience to say, hey, the technician has confirmed the appointment. Make sure you put a cup of coffee on or some tea on to stay awake, because it's going to be at between 12 and 1 in the morning. Now, the technician needs to go get parts because, well, stores will be closed that early. So he's able in the app now, and we've connected the app to the ERP system, all right, we call OpenEdge. We connect to the ERP system that will actually identify all of our partners that we can go purchase, make the purchase for the different repair parts. And we bring that in based on what needs to be repaired. So here are all the locations that have the parts that we need. We've identified that it's peach that we're looking for. And so we go take a look, and now we see how many they have in real-time stock, and we can make the purchase, or we can locate that part and find out where is the closest store that we can make this purchase at. And so we found the address. It says we can take me there now, or we take it later, whichever is preferred from the technician, depending on where they are. In fact, because this is on a cell phone, we're able to take the GPS coordinates and then always pop up reminders as they travel around of a store that might have the part that they need for their next service entry. And so David, the technician, goes and purchases the part from the store, picks it up, and then arrives at midnight to fix David's tablet. And then once David's tablet is done and certified, remember we talked about how we wanted to extend the warranty. We're interested in that. David went ahead and confirmed that part. We're going to make a signature from David's perspective, signing off on the transaction, and now David is happy and hopefully sleeping now that his tablet has been repaired. So our experience is not done yet, because now we want to focus in on that upsell. And so inside, especially Sitefinity, as we take a look at this, inside Sitefinity and with that has Digital Experience Cloud in there, we have the capability of doing lead scoring. And so lead scoring is identifying different points of transaction that happen along the customer journey. And we reward points for things that we think the customer will end up wanting to do. And we can deduct points for things that detract from where we want them to go. So lead scoring helps identify more of an interest level of the lead that's coming onto the site. So we've set that up. In fact, we've set up a campaign for that extended warranty. And so as David went through the site and the experience of that chatbot, we're able to know who he is. So not only have we set up the scoring methodology or the scoring principles, now we're applying a specific person, a specific individual to that scoring methodology. And in fact, what we're doing, and not only are we identifying who it is, but we're also taking a look at the journey here of what transactions happened at which time on which pages. So in this transaction, if you could read that, I know it's very tiny, but in this journey, you're going to see the interactions with the chat bot. You're going to see the interactions with the website. You're going to see the answer to the question of, are you interested in having an extended warranty? All of that is part of the journey map. So we understand everything that David has done online. We start logging it. We document that, and then we provide the score to it. Now, because he was interested in having an extended warranty, he crossed that threshold of kind of a nurture of a do you have any interest in this, to you're actively interested in this. And so we want to kind of push that extended warranty a little bit harder above all the other campaigns that we have, because David scored higher in that campaign or in the extended warranty opportunity. And so this allows us to have some personalization. Now, if you remember way back at the beginning of this demo, I showed the homepage, and it had a couple of women that were chatting, and it said build trust and drive more like business. And now we've changed the homepage hero image to an extended warranty advert. We're doing this because we know who David is, and we know he's interested in the extended warranty. And now we're able to provide unique content to David, and only David, or only those who passed that threshold of that lead score. So here's a picture of what that website looked like before. This is a slide that I showed way back when. And here's what it looks like now. And so you can see that that hero image actually has changed, shifted. It's been personalized for David based on his interest. And so David says yes. I mean, the experience was great. I'm one of the ones that want to spend more money with this company. And so we go to the service and repair slide, because that's where he was at. And then now we have another advert that wasn't there before. And we're doing this because he has crossed that threshold. We're personalizing content based on the activity that David has done on the website up to this point. And so we go ahead and we go through the process of submitting for the upsell opportunity, and David submits that and says, yes, I want it. Well, now that he's had that tablet certified, we don't have to go through that experience anymore. We understand it's done. We've logged all that into the CRM system, or the customer relationship management system. And this goes to the point that we're connecting all of these things together. And so you can start seeing that this is a seamless experience to David, with all of these mechanics happening in the background, all these technologies, these disparate systems that are happening in the background. We've connected them together to hone in on providing David with a very specific journey and an experience that he feels that he's a part of, and that's helping him through this. And so we go ahead and transact the upsell. We log that into our lead scoring system, right? Because I don't know how many of you have been have seen retargeted ads. If you're interested in something on let's say Amazon, and you click off of it, and you keep seeing adverts for the same thing that you were looking on Amazon. It's interesting, because even if you transact, if you actually buy that product on Amazon, you still get the ads to buy the product, which is the downfall for retargeting. But in this case, we actually understand that transaction actually happened. And so we take note of that in that journey, that yes, the extended warranty has happened, and it scores David out of the campaign. And so what happens, you can see on that home screen goes back to the default. He does not need to have personalized content to get him to purchase an extended warranty anymore, because he's already done that. And so we don't have that negative experience or that negative feeling of questioning if the transaction went through properly. Why am I still receiving adverts for an extended warranty? We don't have to do any of that. We go back out of that campaign and then start logging and figuring out, is there another campaign that he might be interested in? So very important to close out that sale. So throughout this demo, this is what we saw. We saw David, who had a broken tablet. We saw him interact with a chat, go onto our modern content management system that had a chatbot functionality. That chatbot kicked off a ton of workflows. It workflowed lead scoring. It workflowed notifying the technician. It workflowed understanding what David was really trying to do. So we're able to get all that information down. And so that helped the experience with that employee. The tech actually had a positive experience through digital of identifying the right parts, showing up very early in the morning to fix David's tablet, and then being able to sign off on that so he can close out his day. Well, along with all of that happened with the chatbot, we also were able to personalize that experience into an upsell campaign that made the company more money. And all of that happened utilizing a digital experience platform framework. And we can see how we're able to take data and connect it to this cloud layer that understood what had to happen and transform that data into usable information. And that usable information went into an adaptive experience. And that's where we get into the applications. It went into responsive web, it went into chat, it went with the conversational apps. We were able to have a native mobile app with having all the content distributed there, and then it showed up on the different devices that we were looking for. And so from our progress perspective, we start taking a look, and we utilized a lot of our own technology to make that happen. And so it's so important as we start down the digital experience journey, as we start looking at our companies and identifying how to enhance the engagement points with customers to help these customers convert down into a transaction and have a great experience doing that. And how do we connect all of these different technologies together in order to provide that seamless experience for the customer? That is the task for our digital experience introduction in 30 minutes. And so at this point, I want to hand it over to my team, Harold and Cayman. They're going to help answer some of these questions. And if we don't get to your questions, please understand we will reach out to you and we'll help you through that. And also, if you want a little bit more of a personalized session on something like this, please let us know. We'd be more than happy to take you through and help get your business on the right track for these digital experiences. So Cayman and Harold, let's go ahead and see if there's any questions out there.
Yep. Hello. Can anybody hear me? So I see the first question is, what are the difference between a web content management and a digital experience platform? This one looks like a question more to Bob Bogart, which is part of the panel team. I'll let him answer that. So Bob, can you hear and also speak to us?
Hello, hi, this is Bob Bogart. Thank you, Carmen. So let me see. The question is, what are the differences between web content management and a digital experience platform? Is that right, Carmen?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, this is a question we get a lot. Thank you for asking this question. If we look at the definition of web content management, that has already changed a lot over the last, I think it's 20 years ago that Gartner introduced the definition of web content management, which started out, of course, with managing a website through a CMS. And if you look at the definition over the last 20 years, it kind of expanded into capabilities of e-commerce, campaign management, responsive web over the last 5 years. And then in the current situation, we get a lot of requirements around analytics and personalization, right? So this is all around web content management. Now, if you look at the transition we're in today to, from web content management to a digital experience platform, this whole definition of web content management is kind of the starting point for this digital experience platform, because now we want to have a consistent experience, not just across the website, but also across mobile apps, maybe chat, and those kind of emerging channels like and augmented reality, as Greg already mentioned. So we're extending the experience into omnichannel, but we're also, as we saw in the example of Greg, we need to integrate with our back office systems, like our ERP CRM system. For one, because we need to get a 360-degree view of the customer, we need to really understand who our visitor is in order to provide a relevant and personalized experience. But we also need to extend it, maybe order management data. Then we're all as a result of that, the rules to define those experiences get more complex. So as part of DXP capabilities, we're also seeing much more need for kind of digital decisioning services or digital rules management. That's another capability that the analysts are considered part of the DXP definition. And then to go on that, we're seeing social integration, of course, and with all that still is the huge requirement for governance and compliance, specifically with compliance around things like GDPR, etc. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, I think it does, and I also think that you'll like the second question we received. Should a DXP be a single vendor product or a suite of products? And that's also in your area of expertise.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, that's a really solid question. Of course, single vendor versus best of breed. That's not totally new for DXP, right? We've seen this question over and over again when we got to things like digital marketing suites and those kind of approaches. Yeah, the difficult answer, of course, is always it depends, right? It definitely depends on what your requirements and your specific situation is. What we've seen, if you remember the chiefmartech.com slide that Greg shown, the thousands of marketing tech logos that we've seen and that are extending every single year. I think it's very difficult for one to have one single vendor that can be best in class or best of breed in each of those components in the technology that you need as a marketer. Maybe companies like Adobe, they're probably class in a single suite. So this is what I refer to as best in suite. So if you look at the vendors out there, if they provide a digital experience platform from a single suite point of view, in virtually any situation, you'll see part of some capabilities that are not performing, as best in class. The benefit, of course, is that it's integrated by the vendor. So that is something that you need to take in consideration in terms of what are the requirements you have. Is the integration by the vendor, does that set off to the other part of the spectrum, which is best of breed, right? And the best of breed, of course, the benefit there is that you can select specific tools, specific applications, and services that are really fit for your requirements, with the disadvantage that the integration of those various marketing technology tools are with you and with your services vendor. So our approach from Progress, if you've probably seen a little bit in the digital experience platform approach that we're taking as Progress, is kind of we're seeking the optimum between the two. So I'd like to refer to this as connected best of breed. So you have all the freedom and flexibility to pick and choose whatever marketing automation system fits you, whether that's Eloqua or Marketo or Salesforce, Microsoft, HubSpot, you name it. Same for e-commerce. If you'd like, a very flexible approach with things like e-commerce, we take the responsibility of integrating our technology, our web content management, our digital experience platform to those marketing technologies. So we take away the hassle of the integration, but we give you the flexibility and the freedom to kind of select best of breed. So yeah, Carmen, hope that kind of answers the question. Little bit long. Sorry for that.
Yeah, no problem. And I don't think we have any other questions apart from a comment from Fabian that he didn't really hear all of your answer to the first question, but I actually wrote to him that we're going to follow up on email for that, because you don't want to repeat yourself again on the long answer for the first question.
Feel free to connect anyone with me to have any further discussions or questions around this.
Yeah, and as we don't have any further questions, neither in the chat box nor in the questions pane, I think we're going to close the webinar as it was scheduled for 30 minutes, but we actually went for 40, which is about as expected, but still not to prolong it that much.
So thank you very much for everybody attending, and have a great day.
Yes, goodbye everybody, and have a great day.